Get ready to hear about the deals from our sponsors. This episode of Earn Your Happy is sponsored in part by Saley, El Nutra, LinkedIn, Talent Solutions, OpenPhone, and Shopify, and we have got awesome deals for you. Saley is saving on eSIMs even more. Get a global or a regional plan and travel with the same eSIM. Get an exclusive 15% off discount on Saley eSIM data plans. Go to saley.com/happy. Download the Saley app and use code HAPPY at the checkout plan. El Nutra, kickstart a health plan that truly works. Get 15% off site-wide plus a $40 bonus gift with a subscription to the 5-day nutrition program. Claim your offer now at prolonlife.com/happy. LinkedIn Talent Solutions. Find out why more than 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring today. Find your next great hire on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/qualified free. Terms and conditions apply. And OpenPhone. OpenPhone is the #1 business phone system and build stronger customer relationships and respond faster with shared numbers, AI, and automation. Get 20% off for your first 6 months when you go to openphone.com/earn. And finally, Shopify. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you grow your business. Sign up for $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/happy.
When you see a new feature, use it. That is a way to be algorithm proof in a way because you get rewarded for using it. When I think about like algorithm proof and like what you should be doing, it's really about like trying new things and really focusing on your existing community and how you can nurture them.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Earn Your Happy podcast. I have to tell you, I don't know how some of you are living without Glossy. I really have no clue because I just went through a week of hosting our Elite Entrepreneur Mastermind and I was slamming like 3 to 4 Glossies a day. Yes, I was. And it was keeping me feeling incredible because if you don't know, our mastermind is not only awesome, but it's really intense. It's long days, it's long nights, and I'm obsessed with it. But you also have to really take care of yourself. So Chris and I were constantly drinking Glossy. We gave Glossy away to all the attendees because we know that they're traveling and that they need to be sharp and feel good and stay hydrated. So you guys, if you have not tried it yet, I'm telling you, it's a game changer. So ditch your current hydration sticks. You don't need all the sugar and you don't need all the salt. Unless you're some crazy extreme elite athlete every single day, then we can switch over. But you guys go check it out. Go to getglossy.com and use code HAPPY for 25% off. So today on the podcast, I have my friend Kristina Bartold. She's the co-founder of the social Snippet and High Vibe Women, events for Canadian entrepreneurs. And you guys, she just hosted her event. It looked freaking amazing. She had a ton of people there. And she's the host of the Community Podcast. And today we talk all about supercharging your business and personal brand on social media. Every time I do an episode about social media, it ends up being one of your favorite episodes because it's something that we're always working on and that we have to tweak. And it's just so right now in your business. And even for me, having been online for years, I'm always having to test what works best to grow on social media. I swear, I feel like every week something is changing. And Kristina shares how to make yourself algorithm proof, grow a diehard community, and how to captivate your audience by sharing your everyday, boring real life. Plus, she shares the most underrated social media strategy to grow and sell more social. And it's so simple, you guys. She sells out tickets to her events quickly and knows how to make sales with any size of audience. So this conversation isn't only about how to get more eyes on your business, but how to build genuine relationships and convert your audience into paying customers. You'll hear stories about times each of us were made the villain in someone else's story, honest conversations about setting healthy boundaries, and why you have to show up for yourself so you can show up for your community. If you've been searching for fresh ways to show up, scale, and shake off the fear of doing it wrong, this one is for you. So let's get started. Kristina, welcome to the Earn Your Happy podcast.
I'm so honored to be here. So excited. I could talk to you all day. So this is going to be so fun.
Oh, so fun. There might be weird stories. There might be swear words. There might be, what else? Can we swear as long as your baby is still in utero? When do we stop?
We never stop. We need to explain. I don't know. Is that irresponsible parenting? DM me and let me know.
We'll
But
find out later.
we don't stop.
Don't DM her. We don't want the DMs. We
Nope,
don't
not
actually
welcome.
want them. We're going to make our own opinions here. I'm so excited to have you on. You have been someone who's now a friend, but has been in our community for a long time, coming by way of Fast Foundations. And you've just been that person who, you guys, for anybody listening who's had products, masterminds, events, courses, sometimes you get those people in your world where all of a sudden you're like, oh, this quote unquote like customer / client all of a sudden is adding so much value to the rooms, to the courses, to whatever they're in. And that was absolutely you. It's like those people who just make your products and events better because of what you bring and what you add to the community that's in there. And it's really hard to ignore those people. Like, well, you just
We're
made yourself,
persistent.
you made yourself hard to ignore. I'm just kidding. Because you're so grateful for them. And also you're also learning from them. So Chris and I have just been so massively grateful for you and what an advocate you are. Like you're like the meme, like surround yourself with those people who speak your name, like powerfully in rooms that you're not in. Like you're the meme.
Well, okay, I have nothing bad to say about you and Chris. There's like nothing. But partially I would say like a big piece of it is like in the online space, and like, this from being in so many masterminds and in rooms, like there is a lot of smoke and mirrors, and there, I've paid for lots of different kind of mentorship, and like you and Chris have been like both friends and consistent mentors for me, like all these years, almost 4 years. And, but it's because like I always tell everyone this. I'm like, if anyone's considering anything, you guys bring the best people together. And like, all of my like business best friends, I'm like, oh, I met them through Fast Foundations. Oh, I met them at a round table. Like, oh, well, they were in the Elite Mastermind with me. So it's easy to talk about.
Well, I'm so grateful for you. And like, honestly, you guys, she's pregnant this year, which we're so happy about, but also she's not in the Elite Mastermind this year, but it's just so much fun having you in those rooms. So I'm sad until, next year, whenever I get to see you, but now we get to hang. So now I get to see you more often. Okay. So I want to talk all about your business and what you do and how you came about that. But tell me about your first kind of venture into entrepreneurship.
Oh my goodness. So I feel like I'm one of those people who's always had like a bit of an entrepreneurial spirit. Like I'm not going to talk about a lemonade stand or anything, but like always kind of wanted something a little bit more. And then during the pandemic, I started doing some like consulting, like leadership consulting. That's my original background. And I had always done like social media as a side hustle for a bunch of businesses. But I was like, when something comes to you so naturally, but you don't like really want to connect with it. Like you're like, oh no, that's not my thing. So I would do social media for these businesses. I had huge vision for them. Like I would love them. And then during the pandemic, I started doing this consulting, and my consulting would sell like hotcakes. Like it would be like, I would show up on Instagram stories. I would like talk about like, strategy or different things like that. And everything that I did sold, which was like such a blessing and a gift. And so then from there, it was really, I noticed that a lot of people actually had trouble selling online. Like on social, I saw these business owners who had these beautiful businesses, heart-led businesses, things that they were like so passionate about, but they like couldn't talk about them online, or like their posts they were making were really missing the mark. And so I started, as you've been a recipient of, even as late as today, started giving people unsolicited feedback. And I realized, that there was something there. And so me and my business partner, Maria, who I know, as well, we got together and we just decided, we're like, what if we just tried it? And so we tried it, and we started working with a few businesses, and then it kind of spiraled from there and has kind of grown. And now we have our agency with 85 clients that we do social media and podcasting for. And so I just answered both questions at once. But yeah, that's been kind of the full foray has been, I feel like I'm a newer entrepreneur. It's only been like 5 years really in the making, but it has been like such an incredible journey of growth.
Are you hireable now? Meaning like, do you think you could go back to not being an entrepreneur?
No, but you know what? I'm not too proud to. Like if I was ever in a situation where like I needed to, I would. But like we were joking about how like we hired a cleaner or whatever. And I was saying how like by the end of hiring a cleaner, like I would end up running the cleaners. Like I would end up like turning into like a cleaning business. Like everything I think of is like an entrepreneurial venture. Like I go into a store and I'm like, I wonder how these people make money, because if this costs this much and I know rent probably costs this much, like I think my mindset has changed so much. Could you go back to being an employee?
No, my next question was like, what are things that you would do before you were an employee? Like, how would you, if you had to make quick money, what would you do? And there's so many things I would do, but really fast, there's so many. I'm like, first, I'd probably like Uber and DoorDash while I planned my business, like
Totally.
strategy of what I'm going to do next. Or although, I go work at this coffee shop every day and I look at their job because I used to be a barista and I'm like, I wouldn't mind. Like I could do it for a little while I planned how to open another coffee shop.
Lori, I think that's such a good point because something that I notice, and I don't know if you feel the same way, is that that's why when you ask me, like, could you do this? I'm like, I'm not too proud to. Like,
Yeah.
if I was in a situation where I needed to start again or I needed to do it, I would work at Starbucks. Like I would never,
For sure.
like, there's nothing, I have nothing against not being an entrepreneur, but it would be a means to an end for my next thing. And so
Yeah.
when you were like, what are the things you would do to make money? It's like, immediately I was like, how PG-13 is this? But, but yeah, Uber sounds good. Uber sounds fine.
Yeah. Your quad caramel macchiato, extra whipped cream, no problem.
Yeah.
Would you sell socks for money?
I'm not above it. Again, I'm not discriminating against any type of
I'm
role.
not either. I'm not above it. Socks though. Like I would really have to be in dire situation for the other ones. And no offense to anybody else, but that's just me. Okay. So when you met your co-founder, Maria, tell me how you guys met. Were you already in each other's lives or did it come over the business?
Yeah. So we were in each other's lives. We went to university together. I'm a few years older. And I was actually, this is not going to be shocking, but I was an RA, which like.
That is shocking to me, actually.
Really? Because Jackie sent me a message one time and it was like, out of the blue, we do not typically Instagram message. And she sent me this message that said, you seem like you were heavily involved on campus. And I was like, damn it, Jackie, you knew. And I was, but I was an RA when she was in first year and we got really connected and kind of stayed connected throughout the years. We were in the same major and we did a volunteer trip together. So there were like a few things that kept us really close. But during the pandemic, she worked in travel. And so it was just travel was like kind of done and she wasn't sure what was next. And she is very creative and like very like graphically inclined. And I'm like, everything I do is crooked. Like every photo I take, like everything, like people are always like, why is that video shaking? And I was like, no, I wasn't holding a gimbal.
Notice.
Yeah, that was from my own hands. So she's more on the creative side and I'm much more on the strategy side. So that was kind of how we came together, which I think is actually a really great thing with business partners is that when you have those different strengths, like we don't pretend to do the same things. We don't like go after it being like, oh, like she wants to write a caption. Like I'm like, there's none of that. It's like very aligned. And that was helpful in becoming business partners.
Okay. So did you guys have to have hard conversations when you first like connected as business partners and when you decided to go into business? What did that look like?
You know what's funny is not at the beginning, because at the beginning it was very like high vibe squad. Like we were like, whoa, like and then things were happening so fast.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah. And like we were making money and it was just like fun. And the thing that was really cool about Maria and I was that we always saw the bigger vision. Like we were always like, should we invest to do that? Yeah, we should. Like there was never a like, oh, like, let's try to like, keep this small. It's always been about like kind of the greater future. And so what's interesting is we didn't really have a hard conversation until I actually did one of Chris's roundtables. It was the first one I ever did. And we had to go up and talk about a problem. And I went up and I talked about how I was like, I do a lot of like different stuff in the business and it's feeling really overwhelming. And Chris was kind of like, well, what does Maria do? And I was kind of like, oh, like it's actually kind of hard for me to put to words what she's doing. And then Chris was kind of like, well, then like, are you guys business partners? Are you guys good business partners? And I remember like I cried and I came back to Maria and I was like, Maria, like I cried in front of this group of people. And like, I just like, we should talk about this. And she was like, it's so funny you say this because like, I'm feeling kind of purposeless. Like, and I'm feeling like I'm doing all these things that like aren't adding up. And I really want to be doing something that's like meaningful. And like, I want a job like in our business rather than like doing all this random stuff. So that was a huge catalyst for us. And that was a conversation I was kind of scared to have. But it's always like on the other side of those things that better things come. It's just like always like a grind to get through them.
Oh my God. Yes. And I always think of that with the hard conversations is I'm like, it's not just relief on the other side. There's something actually like really good. Typically like something will open up or more money will come or someone else better will come. Like there's always something on the other side of a hard conversation. So, okay, let's dive into some social media stuff because this is what you guys do. And I swear whenever I do any social media podcasts, people like love them. So tell me overall how you're feeling about social media right now.
Well, I'm feeling good about it. I'm feeling fine. But I would say right now, I think what's really hard about social media is like the uncertainty in the world, right? And I think it's causing a lot of people to not want to engage in fear of being too political or things like that. But like, I think as like business owners, it's our responsibility for us to be continuing to show up, like even in these times when things feel really difficult or overwhelming. So I think right now, I think there's lots of great things going on with social. I think some of the other pieces is like, there's lots of different platforms for people to choose from. Like a lot of these platforms, like it's just the beginning and you're able to be a big thought leader on it when, Instagram might not be it, as Instagram has lots of things going on, but like Threads is brand new, or LinkedIn, only 1% of people post on LinkedIn. So there's lots of opportunity, but it's about finding it and having the perspective that there's opportunity and not like getting spiraled into the negativity.
Do you find being a social media agency, are you guys also like, do you feel like sometimes your coaches like trying to get people to like post and find confidence?
Totally, yeah. Because in our agency, like we have 55 clients that do social, right? And so a big piece of the way that we work with people is there is a level of coaching because we know, I can do people's social all day, but it's best people buy from people. So like, how can like the owner show up? How do we get the story? Like all of those pieces. So that's really important. And then we also coach people in our social business club. But it's like it's scary for people to show up right now, I think. And I think people aren't sure what showing up always looks like. Like I think it looks different for different people in different seasons. I know Lori, like you and I are both people who like I think like to show up, like and have seen the results of it. And like, we know that people like love behind the scenes and love the kind of personal aspects of like, brands. But I know people are always like, what should I post? Like, am I boring? Like, do people care about this? And you'd be surprised, like anybody listening, like you would be surprised about how much people do care about the things that you actually are like, wow, that's so boring. I can't believe you care about that.
Totally. Oh my God. And what makes me feel better about that, like showing some of my boring life or what I think is boring is like, I think of the people who I love to follow and we're like such voyeurs. Like we like to see what are they eating? What does their day look like? Like, do they feel overwhelmed like me? Are they sitting in this corner balled up crying too or no? Or is it just me?
And that's actually what makes like being like, I'm going to use the word influencer, like, with air quotes, because I think it's more about being like a person of influence, like in your business, especially now personal brands are like more important than ever. So it's like, we were just talking before about our mutual friend, Marina Middleton. Like I always tease Marina because like she has all these hats and she's always like talking about like, her hats and like where she's going and like all that stuff. But it's like, I'm actually so fascinated by it. Like I'm always like, love the hat. Like, what's the scoop? Where are you going? Like, oh, you're in Austin this week.
More about the hat.
Yeah. Where'd you get the hat? How'd you get it in the bag? But like you become part of people's lives, right? And then you start to like want to learn more about them. And then as people learn more about you, they don't only connect with the things that you sell, they connect with who you are. And because more than ever, we have more choice, right? So it's like someone can join Lori, your mastermind, or they could join someone else's mastermind. They could buy Glossy or they could buy like another electrolyte pack or whatever. They shouldn't. They should buy Glossy. But like, what makes people want to buy is like the person behind it. And then eventually, they make the commitment. So I think that's something that I think people really undervalue and underutilize on social is that personal brand piece is way bigger than I think people realize.
So a lot of people are probably listening right now and they are in that struggle of like, what do I even show? Like, how do I start to come up with ideas? Like, where does one start?
So I would say like success leaves clues. I know people use this for fitness all the time, and I take all fitness sayings and I make them social media sayings. So come with me on this journey. But you have to try things. Like you have to see what resonates with people. So I'll give you an example. Like personally on my social, I love to give people unsolicited advice. As you know, I love to tell people social media tips. People do not want social media tips from me. And I'm like, this is devastating. I just want to tell you guys what to do. But they love when I'm at an event. They love when I'm doing some speaking. They love when I'm doing something in the community. I get way more engagement from that. So success leaves clues. I see that. I get better inquiries. I get like more like leads, more conversations. So when I'm doing those things, I can still infuse social media tips. I can still kind of show and tell a little, but I really see what people are looking for. And I think that takes trial and error. It's going to take you posting something that's not going to land. And it might land with one person and that one person might hire you and that might be worth it. But it's really about like, I think just getting started in that a little bit of messy action. And I think especially with personal brand pieces, like no matter what you're selling, like we want to see the behind the scenes. So I think it's also like a bit of mindset work you have to do about like, don't call yourself boring. Like you're not boring. People want to see your oatmeal, people, Lori, I was so excited to see your little Isogenics packages come in. I'm like, great. Summer prep. Love it. Like, but it's like, you're just excited for people. Or like Lori, you posted the other day about your podcast studio. And I responded back and I was like, oof, Lori, this was in 37 seconds. That was too fast for me to have messaged you. But it's like, we're curious, right? And so, yeah, I think it's really about just trying things and seeing what people respond to.
Oh my God, this whole journey for me, like people probably think, oh, she's been on social forever. It's different all the time. And like just trying to see what hits, what do people like? And honestly, Kristina, it's like this sometimes the most mundane, like, oh, I just turned my camera on and we were cheersing our coffee cups. Like people love it. Like it's crazy. So you do have to just try a ton of different things because what will work for my audience definitely won't work for other people's audiences. So you have to find who's watching, what are they interested in your life, and the only way to do that is to try everything and not take it down. See what works.
Well, I was going to say this too, Lori, not to turn this around on you, like, because this is your podcast, but like, you're an OG in this space, right? Like, you've been at this for, like, you've been podcasting, I think you said 8 years. Like, you're on social, you've had many iterations of Lori. And like, people have been coming with you on every step of your journey. Like, I've been to events where I'll be sitting next to someone, or like, I have friends who are like, oh my gosh, like I went to Bliss Project, like so crazy. You're friends with Lori Harder. I used to see her in these magazines, like, and I never even, like, I didn't know Lori, like I knew you through Chris. Right. And so it's so interesting how like you can evolve so many times on social. People just want to be part of your journey, no matter what it looks like.
And that's why social is so powerful. So tell me about, what you believe about social media and business, why we need it from your perspective.
I think, unfortunately, there's like almost no way around it anymore. And for a few reasons, like one, from a social proof perspective, like people are always looking to validate purchases. Like we're not buying things with no reviews. Like we're over this. This is like, we're not taking risks over here because there's so many options. I was in Nashville. We just missed each other, like I think by like a day.
So sad.
So sad. And I was like on Broadway walking and there was an empty bar. And you know how like every bar is full? And then I was like, oh, that's an empty bar. And then I was like, well, it's an empty bar because it's an empty bar. Because like
exactly,
nobody's in it. And until somebody's in it, it's going to continue to be an empty bar, which just sounds like a philosophical thing. It's not. It's just, there's no social proof. Like no one's going to go into that empty bar and be the first unless you're desperate. And so in the same way with social media, we want to see people buying your stuff. You want to see that, like I always tell people, I'm like, you coach someone, get on your stories and talk about what you just coached about. Like you just sold a product. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I just sold this product. There were 100 cases of glow sold today. Like, like you want to talk about these things because then people feel the FOMO of like, oh, there's people who are buying that and I want to be a part of that. But I think without social media, if that's not a priority of yours, and lots of people like, they grow businesses without social and that's great. I've seen many of it, but there is a cap to it. And I think like social media is unprecedented for us to be able to grow global businesses and actually like impact people in such big ways, especially those of us who have like a mission on our hearts of like wanting to do something exciting.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So tell me about the algorithms right now, because things are always changing. It can get really overwhelming. People are always blaming the algorithm. First of all, what algorithm attitude should we have and what do we need to know? Okay, so something that Chris and I are always talking about is how to really separate our business hours from the hours that we're off. And it's a really hard thing to do when you're a business owner because your phone is where everything is operated. So you might have some downtime and you're feeling good and all of a sudden you get something that throws you off because it's work related and you just weren't in that mode. And let me tell you, OpenPhone is the #1 business phone system that is going to help you separate your personal life from your growing business. You guys, this is so important to learn to do. And for just $15 a month, the cost of a few coffees, you get complete transparency and visibility into everything happening with your business phone number. OpenPhone works through an app on your phone or computer and integrates with HubSpot and hundreds of other systems. They use AI-powered call transcripts and summaries, so you'll have a summary of your phone call with action items as soon as you hang up. And if you miss a call, automated messages are sent directly to your customer, meaning you're never going to miss an opportunity to engage with them. They're going to feel thought about. It's affordable and easy to use, whether you're a one-person operation and need help managing calls automatically or have a large team and need better tools for efficient collaboration. OpenPhone is a no-brainer. Right now, OpenPhone is offering 20% off your first 6 months when you go to openphone.com/earn. That's OPENPHONE.com/earn for 20% off 6 months. Openphone.com/earn. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. So if you're growing a business like I am, you probably have a lot of calls booked every single month with different people learning how to grow and scale your business in different ways. And I had that call today with someone who really understands TikTok Shop. And one of the cool things that I'm so grateful for is that I went with Shopify because there's always an easy integration with any type of marketing platform that I want to use. Whether it's an affiliate software or whether it's something like TikTok Shop, Shopify easily integrates with them. So it's not a massive headache when I want to go try new things in my company. So you guys can also upgrade your business and get the same checkout that we use with Shopify. You can sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/happy. That's all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/happy to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/happy. I'm telling you, it's one of my favorite platforms because it's so easy, it's streamlined, and I actually understand it. I get excited to log into my Shopify every single day and look at all of the data on my customer and in my company. You guys go check it out.
Yeah. So it's so funny. I always teach this webinar. I actually did it today, and it's called Algorithm Proof, which is so funny that you asked this because it's the algorithm is essentially like, for those of you who aren't super familiar with it, it's just basically like what classifies what you see, right? So, Lori and I both see lots of dog videos. That's important to both of us, right? But then other people might see other things, right? And so you see kind of what you're looking for. And actually, when I did this session today, someone wrote, do not under any circumstance ever look up anything Pokemon related. And I was like, that wasn't a priority of mine, but I understand that this could mess your algorithm up. Yes. So we see that. And so it's very easy for us when we're selling something online to be like, well, I'm not in the algorithm. And people aren't seeing what I'm doing. People aren't liking it. And that's not necessarily the case, right? Like often what I would say is algorithm proof behavior is us building community. It's us having conversations. It's us engaging with our super fans. It's us having like really like intentional content. It's seeing what's working. It's trying things. So I think, the algorithm is never going to be something that we escape and it's always going to change. But one of the biggest hacks I'll tell you, like in my opinion on social, is that when you see a new feature, use it. And that is a way to be algorithm proof in a way because you get rewarded for using it. So a new feature that's out right now, for example, is the trial reel feature. Have you tried it, Lori?
Yeah. I'm going to be using it a lot more too.
Yeah. And it actually would work great, especially for your purposes of like what you sell, like in both businesses. And so trial reels, for those of you who might not be aware yet, are an opportunity for you to post like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 reels. You can post them with the same message, but a different video. You could do different messages in a different video or the same video, like whatever it looks like. And you're testing, with only non-followers. So you're not burning your audience out. You're not posting things. And then, people are like, oh my goodness, there's Lori again with her, like her shake. And then that one has a dog. And then that one's a beach walk. And I actually saw someone do this. I got caught in someone's algorithm on trial reels. And I was like, wow, she said that already. And she's eating a burrito in her car. And then the next one I saw, she was on a walk. And then on the other one, she's in her computer. And she was testing which one people would respond the best to. So this is a great new feature. And you're seeing yourself, like every time I do it, I get new followers. It's pumped to new people, which is what reels are all for, right? But we're being rewarded for it. So I think when I think about like algorithm proof and like what you should be doing, it's really about like trying new things and really focusing on your existing community and how you can nurture them.
So good. What are some underrated social media strategies?
I think one of the biggest one, to be honest, Lori, is talking with your followers. And I know that sounds so basic. You were probably looking for me to like save some lives over here, but it's incredible to me how many people post and then never communicate with anybody. And then they're looking for some kind of money from people. And it's in the fortune's in the follow-up, right? Like the fortune's in the conversation. So I think it's really about like getting into DMs with people, commenting on the stories of the people that you're looking to sell to or that you're looking to connect with, really doing that engagement where you're engaging on stuff, because that is like one of the most underrated pieces. The other thing is, and this is maybe, I'm going to say an overrated thing that I think people kind of go too ham on, is this like multi-platform needing to be everywhere. Like Alex Hermosi, who we almost met in Orlando. We were so close to meeting Alex Hermosi. So
Fun. I mean, we were 10 feet away.
so we basically met him. We're basically Mr. First.
No, it's really good.
I love it. Jackie was like, go pitch him on the pod. But yeah, like, Alex Hermosi is a great example of that. He's everywhere. In my experience, the businesses I'm working with don't have an Alex Hermosi size team. And so they're like, hustling around, like posting on TikTok, posting on LinkedIn, turning their LinkedIn into threads. Then they're going on Instagram, like, and they don't check any of their DMs. They're not actually connecting with any of the people they're connecting with. Like, and so those are missed opportunities, missed opportunities for like relationship, missed opportunities for conversation. So that's one of the other pieces is I think people overdo it with the amount of platforms they should be on. And my rule is always like, find one or two you love being on and you're going to check and like engage with, and then go there. Like if you don't think you're ever going to check your LinkedIn, don't go on LinkedIn.
I couldn't agree more. Like even mentally with bandwidth, like how you show up, if you're exhausted from all the platforms, you're not going to create anything good. Like you're just not. And the platforms are so uniquely different that like, right now I'm totally all Instagram for the most part. Like I'll repost on TikTok, which I'm not getting past like the, tiny amounts of views because I'm not on there because I'm not putting my time and energy there. But that's okay because I really feel like right now I'm reaching a lot of people through Instagram, and through the podcast is my other major modality of reaching people. And so it takes a while to like dial that in and decide, but it really is like, which one do you just enjoy more? Which one are you socially on? Because when you're socially on it, you're learning the whole time. So at least, and I'm not saying like, oh, you can doom scroll and you're learning, but my doom scrolls do bring a lot of learnings.
Totally. And probably why your TikTok isn't like being as like successful as what you're looking for is because you're probably not making TikTok timely content, right? Like you're not making content for TikTok.
Nope,
so yeah, they don't like when we're making content like that. Like they want content that's specifically for platforms, which is why we're seeing like TikTok's like a few weeks ahead of Instagram. And then you'll see the TikTok sounds make it to Instagram. They're faster now. But people will leave their watermarks on. You leave your watermarks on, you're done. Like, so there's all these like little things that you need to like keep in mind. But like, even I see this so much with LinkedIn, like so many people are like, so I love LinkedIn as a platform. It's great for my clients, but people don't like the platform. They think it's broy. I'm like, don't go on it. Like go on Instagram, like DM people over there. Like instead of spending so much time like hunting for something, like build community and really like try to like rally people around what it is that you're doing now. Cause you have people who are excited about you, like wherever you're spending your time.
You're such a huge community builder. How, like, did you build your community first on social or were you more in person? Like you're able to fill events really quickly, which is not normal out in the world.
Sorry.
Why do you think that is? How do you build community yourself?
Yeah. So I think one of the things I will say is that often when people start businesses, your first customers are people you know. Like usually, they're your friends or your family or whatever. And my first customers were people I knew. And I think I treated those people like such gold that like they made referrals for me. And that's always been my way of business. Like I really want my customers to feel like they're 12 out of 10 in my eyes, probably a little like too much. And then now I'm like, and now I'm like, I need a little bit of separation. Like I need a moment. But it's like, you really just like pour into them. And that has been kind of our approach really since the beginning. So I had a really good community from there of like kind of my network. But since then, I would say I've been building kind of alongside my community at the same time. And Lori, that's something you say all the time. And I always quote it on my own podcast. So it's like the people you come up with, like that's been more important to me than, going to an event and being like, I need to like jam with the speakers, like that's who I like want to connect with. It's like the people who have been in my kind of come up have been really helpful. And I think part of why our events I think have been so successful is there isn't much like, we have lots of great stuff in Canada. There aren't a lot of entrepreneurial events for women. And so that has been like a really huge advantage for us. But we've also really leaned into like really like over serving, like really like how can we add value to these people over and over again, like thinking about their experience, thinking about where they're at, like, and really like over trying to over deliver all the time. And a huge thing for me, Lori, and I know this is something that's been huge for you too, is partnerships, like finding people who are like in my space and being like, how can I add the most freaking value ever to you? And like, how can we get you exactly what you want? Like, even before we started this, you're like, how's this a slam dunk? Like, I ask that all the time. Like, how do we make this like something great for you? So that's been kind of the approach that we've taken for community.
Oh, I love that. Okay, let's talk about small businesses who are, maybe just starting out, or maybe they are in like year 3 to 5, but small according to, comparatively
Yeah.
to these people who have a ton of money to be able to spend on social media. How do they compete online?
Yeah, that is where I say like that's not what I would do. Like I wouldn't try to compete too tough. Like something that I notice a lot, and this is comes up all the time in discovery calls. I'll meet someone and they'll say to me, "Hey, like, it's about to be Christmas time and I want to run a ton of ads." And I'm like, this is the worst time to run ads because you're competing with Pepsi, or you're competing with other people who have the money, who are gonna overload it. And so that's actually when I think you lean into your community, right? So that's when I think you go harder on your affiliate programs. I think that's when you go harder on your conversations with people. I think that's when you go harder with your local events. Like those types of things are the things that I think really make a big difference when you are a smaller business. Pop-ups, like how do you get in front of more people? And I think people really underestimate that sometimes too, is like obviously I'm like super into social. I think everyone should be on social. But the in-person stuff is magic. And when you can get people in person talking about what you're doing, you meet the founder, you have a good conversation. That stuff is like, that's actually the stuff that really grew our business, was like going into rooms and like meeting people and being like, hey, I solved this problem and I'm not like going to try to sell you on it, but like, let me just pour into you, or like try my product, or like experience this. And people are so excited about it. And so I think, yeah, if I was to say like, okay, like what would I do if I was like a small business, and, especially at different times of year when big businesses are really flourishing, I would get grassroots and really get into my community and start to build more community.
Mhm. So for people who are, I feel like there's like this North Star that we're always trying to like reach. Like, no matter what size audience you have, you're always like, oh God, if I, had 10,000 followers, that's
Yeah.
when my business would take off. If I had 20,000, 100,000, a million, like, how do you make whatever community you have really valuable? And how do you realize like whatever community you have is valuable?
So it's funny. I've been victim of this too, right? Where I think everyone is. You get to the 5K, you're like, oh, like 5K isn't enough, and like now I want 10, and it's like it grows and grows and grows, and then I see people who have 100K and they have really crappy audiences, like who aren't buying from them either, right? So it's interesting because I think that shouldn't. Of course, it's vanity metric, but it shouldn't be what we're chasing. And I have clients who have had 500 followers who have had 10K launches, and are able to sell like huge products because they have a lot of trust from their audience. So if you're in a season, like it's hard when you're seeing like comparison. And I would encourage people, like, use that mute button. If you're feeling like overwhelmed by people, or people are like triggering you, like use the mute button. But I would say like really what you should be focusing on is like service. Like,
Mm.
how do you just add value over and over and over again? Because then by the time you've added value, people are you're the first person everyone thinks of for everything. And I think for us, like that's been such a key piece, has been like, and I've told this story before, Lori, and obviously not on this podcast, but the way that like we grew our business was actually through Fast Foundations. And the way that we did it was we went in there and we were like, hey, we just started our business, but we're like little social media experts. And here is a calendar link. Book a link, like a 20-minute call. And I'd love to just give you some feedback about your social. And people would come on these calls. And obviously there's different seasons. Like I couldn't do that now, but like that was the season then, and that was great. And people would come on these calls and I would be like, hey, like I took a look at your profile. It took me 2 minutes. Like I can spot things. I'd be like, here's 3 pieces of feedback, 3 things you can implement, like kind of all the best. Keep in touch. I'm like rooting for you, kind of thing. And every time they'd be like, are you going to send me a package after this? Are you going to pitch? And I'd be like, no, I'm not going to pitch. Like, I just wanted to serve. And that turned into so many referrals. I still get referrals from that room and that community and that like
Wow.
task like 4 years later. And so I think like really like, how can you just be of service to other people in a way that feels good for you, that you're not, feeling like over like loaded or burnt out? I think that is like kind of what I would wait on if you're like looking for a North Star. It's like, how can you serve the most amount of people?
Mm. What are some of the main struggles that people, when they come to you, have?
I would say one of the biggest ones is like, I do not know what to post. I'm boring and like, I don't know what to post. And what do I post about my business? Or I'm stressed about that. That's like one of the major ones. And the second one is I'm posting like 24/7 and I'm seeing no results. The mix up there, I think, is like when people are too scared to post is they're not thinking enough about like what their ideal clients are asking them. And that this is the tip I give everybody is have a note on your phone. And anytime anyone asks you a question, like in a discovery call at a meeting or anything, like put that down so that you can literally use their words to make content. So like right before this, you gave me some really sage advice and I was like, you actually should do a podcast on that. And I've had that with Chris where like we've done a coaching call and afterwards I text him and I'm like, here's something we talked about that I actually think people need to hear. And like, here's some notes kind of thing. Right. So that is one piece. And then I think like on the I'm posting every day and nothing's working. It's better not to post every day if nothing's working. And it's better to post just a few times a week and really like kind of go in on it. But like, see what can work. Like, what is the thing that people actually respond to? And like, sometimes it's stories and sometimes it's reels and sometimes you're having just a messaging problem and people aren't aligning with your messaging. Like, there's so many little things you can tweak. I think people really like overdo it sometimes and then are super burnt out.
Hmm. And it goes back to the trial and error that you talked about. Like, man, you do have to try a lot. Like, yes, if it's not working, you're kind of like go in and try to figure out some things that are working. But sometimes you have to throw a ton of stuff out there to be like, does any of this work? Like,
Yeah.
social is just trial and error and trial and error. And what did work in the past may not work in the future. Like right now, it's working to like put things over B-roll, like messaging
Yeah.
to put things over B-roll. Do we know if this will last long? We have no idea. But
I said that in the session I did today. I was like, you guys are living in unprecedented times where people want to watch you drink a coffee and with some text. Like, this is time. Take this moment to grow your audience. But Lori, I know part of your like growth strategy when you were growing your original business, and it was Instagram Lives.
yeah,
Or Facebook Lives.
Facebook Lives. Yeah.
Facebook Lives.
Mhm.
Those don't have the same impact as they did.
No.
And so it's like, I like love that worked for you now, or then probably wouldn't work for you now.
Oh my God. We used to be able to get tens of thousands of people on, and I just took it for granted. I was just like, oh, well, she had 100,000 on, and I only had 10,000 on. And I'm like, wow, those were the days.
But isn't that so funny though? Like from a perspective, like
Yeah.
thought, like it's like we are always looking to other people to be like the star or like the model. And like, even I think about this with events, like I'll be like, oh, like, it took us like 3 weeks to sell those 120 tickets. Like, that's annoying because that person, they opened their text list and they were able to sell those tickets like that. And it's like, what do we need to do to be like that? And instead of thinking like that, like learning from what we can and being like, that's an interesting model, or like I can steal this and with like love and, but this doesn't work for me or whatever. And really also celebrating the fact that there's someone trying to fill a 50-person room.
Totally.
Like, and it's tough.
It is hard. Comparison is just because we're in so many rooms, you and I, like, I know we both love events. We put on events, and it's so easy to compare yourself to other people. And those rooms are important, right? Because they also give you a bar, like they help you set your bar higher. So it's like how do you kind of dance between your version of like seeing the big things and what people are doing, but then understanding where you're at?
Yeah, honestly, and this is something I think has been such mindset work, is that I'm not a naturally competitive person. Like, I'm one of those people that like I see something and I'm like, oh, me too. Wow. Like,
Yeah.
that's always been kind of my approach, is like I'll see people have success. There's somebody from the Elite Mastermind last year who does like so well. And I remember just being like, oh my goodness, if she can do that well with this product and what she has is genius, like the sky is the limit. And I remember going to her and being kind of like, yeah, like, it's just like, you have such a good niche and I don't have that good of a niche. And she was like, yep, you do have that good of a niche. You're just like not doing it right.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, because it's so easy for us to like have all these factors to blame.
Mm.
But what it was like, you're right. I'm not throwing this money into ads. I'm not building these funnels. I'm not doing these things that you're doing. And so it's not even a comparison. Like, we're not doing the same thing. But
Right.
instead, I just like look at those people and I'm like, wow, like if that's possible for her, it's possible for me too. And that's awesome. And I think I don't know, I think that's so important. And also rooms that I think, and you do such a great job of creating these rooms, Laurie, like where that's the spirit is like, and that was something I really loved about, doing fast foundations, but also like other rooms I've been in the elite, everything is like, there is a different energy around being somebody to be like, hey, I'm struggling with that. And then there's a payment link, or being like, hey, I'm struggling with that. And people are like, let me jump on the phone with you and walk you through that. So, and it's like somebody from the Elite Mastermind, I'm not even in it this year. She messaged me and she was like, I'm doing a pivot with my podcast. Like, any chance we can chat on the phone? Can't wait to return the favor. I'm like, you don't need to return the favor. It'll come when it comes. Like, but I think it's just like really being in that mindset of like generosity and also like service, but then also looking to those people and being willing to receive from them. And I think sometimes that's the hardest part.
Yeah, it is a personality trait you have to really develop, and you also have to trust, because not everyone is going to return the favor. You know what I mean? And you have to give without expecting other people to return the favor. And like, how do you keep a good attitude around that, knowing some people just they're not going to be there for you when you need them?
I think having a trusted circle of people that you could be like, oh, that was a goblin situation. That one was tough. That one was tough. Because I've been in that situation, Lori, before, where especially like, I think something that I've been really working on in business, and maybe this will resonate with people, which is why I want to share it, is that I'm definitely going to be somebody's villain, where it's like, and that's something that's so hard for me. And like in this season of like being pregnant, and I was asleep for essentially 4 months, like I hibernated like a bear. Like, I rescheduled so many things. And I had somebody be like, tell somebody else, be like, Kristina, like, rescheduled this twice. Definitely not somebody I would want to like do business with. And I was like, oh, then she's just never going to be somebody that I could connect with, because like if someone rescheduled something twice and told me they had like life circumstances, I'd be like praying for you. Like,
yeah,
and that's just like, that's my attitude, and that's not hers. But I think knowing that, like Brennan Burchard kind of talked about this at the dinner series, which by the way, it feels like I go everywhere you go. But yeah, thank God. I know my break is, it's really hard. It's been a hard year so far.
Like, it's been hard for me.
Yeah. Separation anxiety. But Brendan talked about how like, and I guess there's a religious aspect of this, but this idea of like your ROI already being calculated. And it's like not to give with the expectation of return, because at the end of the day, like it's all a wash, right? Like we can't take anything with us, and all we can take with us is our like generosity. And like, I would rather, of every 10 good things I try to do, if 5 of them never returned, but like on my last day, people were like, Kristina was so generous, or like that conversation. I've had people reach out to me and they're like, hey, that conversation like shifted my whole perspective on business. Like, thank you so much. Like, that could change generations, like, of families, right? So it's like, I think just being really open to the fact that, yeah, sometimes people can be goblins and they don't meet you where you're at and the expectation you have of them. But I just believe that all that stuff like kind of works itself out.
Define a goblin.
That's
goblin.
I could define a goblin. It's probably like an off-cam sitch, but no, I think you need to have people that you can be like, that one was friggin', and I'm sure you, Lori, like, you're someone like that for me that I can go to and be like, hey, I had this weird situation and I'm not sure how to handle it. Like, and you need people to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thought about it, and yeah, we're gonna call them goblins, and then we'll be done. Then we'll be good after that. That is so vital to have your people to like talk to about all of the different types of people that you work with, because, and here's another weird thing is like, sometimes people are not, just how you are not a villain in life, but you're going to be someone's villain. Their energy is just not going to match ours. So they're going to like eternally be a villain to us, and we're going to eternally be a villain to them. And there's no way to figure that out than to figure it out, because when you are in business, like you can attract all different types of people, especially if you haven't fully stepped into, like your true authentic self, which in the beginning of business for me, I attracted a lot more people that were not for me, because I didn't know how to show up online authentically yet. Like, there were big parts of me I was hiding. I remember, Kristina, like, and this is just an example for everyone, but I used to like not swear at all in the beginning because I was just so worried about what people would think. Yeah. And when I started doing that, I had a lot of people be like, you're so unclassy. Like, I'm not going to listen to you anymore. Like, your book was awful because you had to use these swear words, like just so many things like that. And I was like, okay, I'm going to let that be okay, because here's why. Do I need to swear publicly? Absolutely not. But I never wanted to be someone so far different publicly than I am actually when they meet me. And also, if you're going to be at an event with me for 3 days, the real me is going to come out. And so I don't want you to have spent a lot of money to get in a room with me and have your expectation be completely different. So
Yeah.
like even with sales script and things, I'm like, you got to show who you are from the beginning because they're going to find out. Like,
And I don't think I'm oversharing by saying this, but I know when we were like, because we had this conversation about, I had asked you something about this, about like almost like repelling people a little, because I had said to you, like, this is something I'm struggling with. This, like, my villain era of people like being like, can we have coffee? And me being in like, I'm in a totally different season of business than I was 4 years ago. And my schedule's like jam packed. And I actually can't. Like, and then it's not coming from like I think I'm better than anyone. It's not coming from I think my time's more valuable than anybody's. It's like I'm jam packed, and I don't want to say to you, are you free in July? Like, and so that's tough. And so I remember kind of asking you about that, and you were like, well, I'm actually in the season where I don't even attract that anymore. Like, I don't attract that. Like, and I'm like aspiring to that season. But I think those boundaries are so important. And once you have your people, always room for new people to come in, and new opportunities and connections. But I think the hard thing with business, and I think Lori, like, I'm sure you appreciate this, like business friends and real friends, there's such a merger there. And it's tough because not everyone's meant to be like school. Not everyone's meant to be your friend. And so it's like, you can do business with people, and you can make referrals with people, and you can have great conversations with people, but it doesn't mean you have to go to the spa on the weekend. And that is a really tough thing, I think, in business, when we're all so relationship focused. And Lori, you and Chris attract such like loving people, that's been such a lesson for me around like, okay, like I'm not for everybody, and I have to be okay if that person's not, if they're unhappy, then I'm not going to go for that coffee.
oh my God. I used to have this so bad to the point where there was this group of women and they literally started to tell like clients or people, because I had owned a gym, and they would start to like come to the workout sessions, and they were so mad that I wasn't going to coffee and like drinking with them all the time, or going like drinking on a Wednesday or whatever, because I was just in a season, which sounds like you're in a season. I was in a building season, and also I was super happily married, and they were not. Just being honest, like they were not happy. And so when we go out, they would flirt with guys, and I was like, that's not the season that I'm in. Like, I don't want this. And
Chris was like, I don't want this either.
yeah, please stop going with them. He actually never said that, but I was just like, that is not for me. But they were so upset about it that they started like spreading rumors to all of my other gym members. Like, it was absolutely insane. And I had to go through this year of like not talking bad about them, and like sticking to like being the person that I knew who I was, and sticking to my boundaries, because it would have been really easy for me to say, oh my God, I'm so sorry you felt that way, and please stop spreading rumors, and I'll start going to wine with you and all whatever. That's kind of like the Midwest in me being like, let me just people please the fuck out of you so that the rumors can go away. And they didn't go away for an entire year. They like dragged me through the mud. It was really challenging. And then all of the people who, had left ended up coming back. Like, I think every single one of them. And they were like, it kind of showed the type of people that they were. Like, you have to stick to your boundaries and your character, and you will come through. But I know this is such an important thing to talk about, because this is where we lose people. Truly. This is where we lose people, and they go back to doing things they don't love, because as a woman, it is hard to be talked bad about and be the villain and have your reputation shit on by other people, when it feels very real. Feels very real. You carry that for the year, or for however long it lasts.
And I think past the year, you know what I mean? Like, as you grew probably other communities, that was like a piece of it for you. And I think as we grow businesses, this is like, it's very challenging. And I think the online world especially is very small. Like, people think it's not, it is. And like, people have reputations. Like, there's lots of things that play there, right? Like, I've been in masterminds where I've been in the same mastermind with people multiple times. Like, we're in different rooms, and I'll be like, oh, I know that person through this person or whatever. And I think it's just really important as women for us to like also honor those boundaries in each other. Like, when we see people setting boundaries, and I'm like even for you, Lori, like, I joked about this when you came on my podcast, and I was like, Lori, like, I just want you on this fucking podcast. And you were like, I don't do podcasts before my events. And I was like, that's the only time I'm in Arizona, is to see you and Chris. And then when you came on, it was like, we had such a fabulous conversation. It's my most downloaded episode. People love the Lori. You beat Chris by like, I think 3 downloads. So there's still time, but.
So I can go listen 3 more times. Or
You're such a good wife. But it's like, I really like respected, like I never once was like, wow, Lori, like, but I was like, oh, that's actually such a great boundary because I'm the person who before an event, I'm like, oh, you guys want something from me? You're coming. Like I should just do it because you've paid me. Or like, and that's like where I think client boundaries are really tough. And what I kind of mentioned earlier, like, at the beginning, there was definitely blurred lines for me around like friendship where I was like, oh, like, and then these people are paying you. So you do just like anything they want because they're paying you. And that's a slippery slope as your business grows.
Oh my gosh. And what people aren't seeing, because I know this will happen to you with your events, or it already is like, there were also 5 other people who asked us to go grab a dinner or grab a coffee or another podcast. And I'm like, I actually can't talk to anyone before it. Like I need a day or two to go through the content, to like be in my own energy, because you're about to be in other people's energy for 3 or 4 days straight. That stuff is vital because you will not have a sustainable business. You won't want to grow. And what you're, even just by me, if you watched me not set any boundaries and say yes to everything, to you, to everyone, to all of the things, you would have a very different version of me on the other side. I'd probably be bitching about people and being, business is hard. Everybody wants a piece of you. Good luck staying in business because you're going to be exhausted and burnt out because you give. And that's absolutely not how I feel. And it's like, if I want you, Kristina, to be a really successful entrepreneur, I have to show you what boundaries look like, or you'll never be able to do it.
100%. And honestly, I think that is like one of the greatest actually like lessons, like as a friend mentor, you've taught me is like, and really seeing that and being able to be like, oh, like I actually, like, I need that. And like, even Lindsay's such a great example of this too, where Lindsay's like very boundaried. And I remember when I had her on my podcast, she had said something about how like, if people ask her to hang out or something, she would maybe be like, come to my event. And I remember originally being like, oh, well, I could never. And then now I do it. But I do it with love. Like, and when these people are at this event, like you, I give them a lot of time. And like, I always compliment you on that. I'm like, are you dead inside? Like you are sitting here and this is your 85th photo and you haven't had a snack yet. And I'm like withering away right before my eyes.
Like, trying to feed me and bring me.
I know last time I brought you like the little sliders and you were like, I'm not gonna have the sliders, but thank you so much. But like, I'm like, wow, like, are you not so tired? And you're like, no, I'm just so honored that people are there. And you wouldn't have that energy if like 2 days before you were like hustling. And so I think it's just so important. And as our communities grow and as our businesses grow, like for anyone that's listening, like I think like emulating something, you don't need to be at a certain level to have boundaries.
No.
And I think that's a mistake people make.
I think so too. I think I made mine a little late, but now that I like understand it, now it's a really big thing for me to teach women. Like I feel like we should dedicate a whole half a day to it with like female entrepreneurs, because I think it's a major reason why we're burnt out. I think we can totally handle our workload, but we can't handle the like how to figure out what that line is, because we don't want people to not like us. And it's just the craziest thing. I know that I had shared with you before, like I'm not totally in that season anymore where I am that person for people, because I think just once you so adopt that energy, like people kind of know like, oh, okay, she's kind of closed over in this area, or I know where she's going to be open. I know what she's going to do. So yeah, I'm excited for you as you move forward too. Cause you've got big events and you are like really in community, and it's like figuring out a boundary within that. Like, how do you be available, but at certain times,
Totally. Yeah. And I think different seasons bring different things for sure.
So tell me about podcasting.
Yeah.
You also help people with podcasting.
Yeah.
What you think of podcasting as a platform and who should be doing it.
Yeah. Honestly, I think anybody who one can do it consistently. That's the first thing, is like lots of people launch podcasts. I can't remember what the stat is, but it's like only a very certain amount of people get past episode like 10. It's low.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so funny. I'm helping somebody launch a podcast right now, and he's like, I know the stat and I'm never going to let it like myself be part of this. And I was like, sure. If that feels good for you, that's a good awareness, I guess. But yeah, so I think podcasting is perfect for anybody who is really looking to like build authority in their niche. If they have something that they love talking about, it's such an intimate way for people to really connect with you. That's the kind of how I got into your world, through Chris's podcast. You listen to somebody, you start like really binge listening, you're so into it. And then when it's time kind of for them to have an offer, it's a no brainer, because you're kind of part of their everyday, right? They're listening to you at the school drop off and on the walk and all all of those things. I think if you have like a heart to educate and on like a heart for really other people and because it is a long game, it's hard to monetize and yeah, and it's hard to like track monetization on it. But I think if you're interested in really like kind of giving that service, giving that and building that authority, it's an amazing tool.
I think also for people with high ticket sales, it's a really important thing. Like I think most of our really high ticket stuff has come through podcast, or they found us at an event and then they started listening to the podcast. Like when I'm in a room at like a high ticket event that we have or a mastermind or something like that, I and ask, who listens to the podcast, it's like 90% of the room.
Yeah.
Because they, for higher ticket sales, they need that like hours and hours and hours with you. Here's us not knowing the stats, but it used to be like 7 hours. This was probably 5 or 6 years ago, this stat. So it's probably even more now. But you had to spend 7 hours with people, whether that was through social media short clips, or that was through podcasting, or whether that was in a room at an event, which makes sense why people can buy an event like a high ticket item right away is because they've spent so many hours with you, just saturated in that one day. But when you think of it that way, you're gonna gather those 7 hours or 7 to 10, whatever it is now, a lot faster for them to spend money on you. So it was like 7 hours before they would like purchase something for a certain like higher amount. So when I think of that, I'm always like, oh, that's why podcasting is like so priceless, is because I can't tell you the amount of high ticket things that have changed my life that I've purchased because it was somebody that I followed podcasting.
Big time. And even if you're a service-based business too, like I've had it too, where people will come to my discovery calls and they've like listened to so many episodes and they like love my philosophy on social or like, or podcasting or whatever. And it's great. It's kind of social proof. And then people are like, great. Like I trust them. Like they're an authority in that space. But I totally agree. And I think especially because we have more choice than ever, right? Like we're seeing people online more than ever. Podcasting people are choosing you. Like when I'm like, okay, I'm going to go listen to a podcast. I'm going to go listen to Kristina Bartold. I'm going to go listen to Lindsay. I'm going to listen to Jasmine, whatever. I'll go and I'll be like, this is the person I'm selecting. And that's something that's like very powerful in the noise of social, where you're not actually really choosing people on social unless you're in a doom scroll. But usually you're given what you're given. And so I think that's why it's such an incredible tool.
Wow. Thanks for choosing. When you put it that way, that's pretty intense when you actually think about that. That's pretty awesome.
Lori, you should. I don't know how you would get this information, but actually I do. Maybe AI can help you with this, but like you should do like some kind of thing where you find out how many hours people have listened in total of your podcast. It's probably years.
That's crazy. Like we've spent years together and like we're besties on that side, which isn't podcasting crazy for that when people are like, they know your whole life. Like I know people's whole life and I'm like, oh, you've never met me. That's right. So weird.
Oh, and it's like the same in reverse. You know what I mean? Like I have a friend who listens to your podcast. She's been listening for years and years, like pre me knowing Chris and Lori. And she'll be like, oh, like, their dogs. And I was like, yeah, I've met their dogs. Like, and she's like, yeah, like Bonkers is like this, like, it's so cute. And I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. Like she's probably going to listen to this. She better, I'm gonna come after her. But like, yeah, like it's so great. But then, when it's time for people to make a choice on a purchase, you're top of mind, right? You've built so much know, like, and trust with them over the years.
And you really do. Podcasting is one of those things where they really, really do know you. Like if you've been podcasting a long time, you can't fake the funk. Like you are yourself for the most part, unless you're a very scripted podcaster, which you can tell. A lot of times scripted podcasters are like very niche, like a marketing podcast or something like that. But if you're like a business lifestyle podcaster, like it's really hard to not talk about what's going on in your life and bring people along. So you really do, for the most part, know the real person on that podcast. The trust level is like so high. So tell me about what you do for podcasters. How do you help them?
Yeah. So we help people launch and edit their podcast kind of long term. So we have like a really good kind of like launch strategy and try to get people to rank. And then from there, we lead people through the whole launch. So it's like people have an idea. We take you from like, I have an idea and I don't have a microphone to like, you're a maven usually by the end of our kind of 6 weeks launch, and then ongoing kind of editing. And we do show notes for folks and clips and all that great stuff, and help people kind of keep it alive. So people can just like, do the chatting and like do the stuff that comes really naturally to them, but then they don't have to do any of the tech, which is the dream.
That is the dream. And that is what changed my life. So I would not be consistent without a team. If you want to be in the long game for podcasting, I believe one of the biggest reasons, and what I hear from people that they drop off, is because they get lost in the techie parts in the show notes and the posting.
100%.
And so you can just show up to the mic. It's a totally different ball game where that's just your job, because that's probably your zone of genius. If you want to start a podcast, it's because you are a talker and someone who likes to talk about a lot of different things. So tell me about what you do for people in social media.
The same thing on the social side, we do done for you social. So that's where we take you from like, whether you're already posting and we elevate it, or we could take you kind of from the beginning. We do full strategy, we do all the video editing, all the reels, the captions, everything like that. And then we have another offer. It's called the Social Business Club. And basically what we do there is we coach people on how to do their own social. So if you're like in an early stage kind of season and you're like, oh, I'm like not sure how to do it. We teach people how to do everything there themselves, so that this way, because I love when people do it themselves. I love doing my own social, and because there's something really powerful about kind of being part of it and really being able to sell that way. And so, yeah, we do live coaching and we give people templates and trending sounds and all of that every month.
That is amazing. I love it. Where can we find you, follow you if we want to work with you?
Yeah. So yeah, you can come find me at Kristina.Bartold. I spell my name with a K, or at the Social Snippet. I'd love to hear what resonated with you from this episode, because Lori, I love chatting with you. And I think there's been so many things we've just chatted about, and would love to hear what resonated. But you can also find me at thesocialsnippet.com. And yeah, any friend of Lori's is a friend of mine. So can't wait.
I don't know. I was going to be like, send you some creepy people.
Why do you have creepy people on demand?
I don't anymore. If it was like year 1 or 2, I had so many creepy people, but
goblins.
I had so many goblins. Now I can't even think of one, dang, and I can't even prank you. Okay. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you go follow Kristina. I'm putting everything in the show notes so that you can go and check her out. We have so many people that love her and work with her and love the agency. And I've heard nothing but amazing things. So you guys go check it out. And until next time, earn your happy. Bye, everyone.